Alright, so today's intro is maybe my favorite intro. So let me take you through what I'm gonna do for today's intro. Well, let me just do the intro and let's see if you can figure it out. Hello, welcome back to Monster Train. Yeah, it's the normal intro. So you may remember, if you've been watching and you've been partaking in the intros, the haiku intro, right? So I was like, okay, you know what's another word used in literature that I could do for this intro? I could do a soliloquy, but I did not know what a soliloquy was. So I looked up what a soliloquy was. Let me read you the definition of a soliloquy. A soliloquy is the act of speaking one's thoughts aloud when by oneself or regardless of any hearers. Yeah, that was my reaction too. It's like, I don't really know. I just found that very, very funny that I was like, what am I gonna do for the intro today? I don't know. I've got it. I'll learn what a soliloquy is because that's a thing that I know about I've heard of in terms of like plays and such, right? And haikus, poems, plays. Let's do something like that. And then I found out that every single one of these intros has been a soliloquy intro, but we're not scrapping this one, baby. Let's go. Monster Train. We're Hellhorned Queen. Oh, someone did request something for this, and then I forgot to check it before I started the intro. Someone came into the stream recently and they requested that the Hellhorned Queen, or like Exile Hellhorned run, was like a extremely over-explained run, I guess, if that's it. Let me find what they wanted. Exile Hellhorned Normal Stygian was the request. You got it, buddy. And basically it was like, hey, I have trouble with Hellhorned Queen. The next time you play Exile Hellhorned, can you explain in more detail? Yeah, sure. Let's do it. I think that Hellhorned Queen is the most nuanced champion they've ever put in this game. And you're gonna hear me say that and you're gonna go, haha, Imp's nuanced, right? But when I started playing, I thought that she was really bad. Like, my first impression, the very first run I played of any Exile champion was a Hellhorned Queen run. And once I realized how the action mechanic worked, I went, wait, isn't this terrible? Like, isn't this really bad? And as my true first impressions of this champion were, wow, she is, like, terrible. Like, just really bad. All of these paths seem awful. But more or less, as I have moved forward and learned more of the nuance to it, it's a lot of positioning stuff and a lot of thinking. So I'll talk out each of the decisions for the first few combats at the very least. Without any further ado, don't forget to like the video, comment the video, subscribe the video. We can begin. This is Rage Talos. Failure Arc is Patient Seraph. Okay. Hidden Passage, Crypt Builder, and Impressive. With regular Stygian as our secondary, I feel pretty great. Forever Flame is also a really good starter. Maybe one of the best starters with this clan, and I am down for Imperialist. So my first, let's not just click on the one, let's talk about it, right? The very first thing that I have to say about this queen is that I think that Imp Parade is bad outside of a few very specific niches. The biggest problem that you're gonna face with Imp Parade. So there's a clash in design with Imp Parade in the end game. Once you get to Imp Parade 3. And I've never actually gotten to this because I always die before it. Like, I'll take Imp Parade 2 and die to Fel and go, wow, I don't like this every time. But that aside, because when you get to Imp Parade 3, you get a Welder Helper and a Fledgling Imp every turn. That sounds really good, right? But if you think about it for a second, where does Welder Helper have to go? Welder Helper has to go behind the unit that you have to have the unit that you want to be playing in front, or like that you want to be keeping alive. So the order of your turn ends up being super strange because so your floor is going to be filled with Welder Helpers behind your Shardtail Queen who are giving her armor, and unless you have a way to kill like 2 or 3 imps per turn, you're going to have Rage Imps that need to go down on the floor as well. But if you're killing off the Welder Helpers to make room for more Welder Helpers, you're not getting the rage value on these imps. You see where this gets to be a little messy? I feel like Imp Parade has the biggest problem because you really want like Imperialist to go with it. But you can't, because the payoff of Imp Parade is live to wave 7 and you get a free Welder Helper every turn, which I find very bad. Now, another thing that has been pointed out and suggested is you don't have to put them on the Queen, and that's true. You could put the Queen up as like a Reform Rector sort of, just sits there and creates imps, and then you use the imps on other floors, but the whole point seems to be that you play imps with the Queen because imp units cost -1. So maybe there's a middle ground where you're just like playing Welder Helpers on with Queen, and then you put the Rage imps with like a multi-striking Branded Warrior to get him started. I don't know. I haven't gone too far into it. The only time I've had a successful Imp Parade run, I started with something else, and then I took Imp Parade because I had 5 endless Welder Helpers, and then it was good because nothing mattered. The final thing I want to say about Imp Parade is, compared to the other two, Royalty and Imperialist, it's like very weak in the early game. Add Queen's Impling to your hand every turn. You basically, for this, you get about 6 Queen's Implings, which is equivalent to paying 6 energy and 6 space on your train for 60 damage. Maybe not 6 energy with the imp units costing -1, but when you get right down to it, it's about the value of a Crypt Builder spread out over 6 turns in the early game. And gross. I don't know. I really don't like Imp Parade. And I didn't expect that to be such a long explanation either, but like, I just start going. On the other hand, on the flip side here, basically, with Imperialist, killing imps is good because the biggest problem is that you just have, like, you get overwhelmed. And if you are able to play 2 imps, you're clearing every single floor, and sometimes you only need 1 even. I think that Imperialist is much better. She's like an everything plan, if that makes sense. What is our starting deck, by the way? Frozen Lances, Queen's Implings. I think it's fine. The other thing to mention is, maybe I could take Imp Parade because I have Impressive to start with, right? It's true. However, at the same time, like, it's not really worth it, right? The payoff, it just doesn't feel good. I don't know. I don't like it. You may have a different opinion on Shardtail Queen's Imperialist path, and that's fine. I do not like it. I think it's very bad. I may have a change of heart over time, however. I do want to say, many cards in this game I thought were bad, I have ended up very much liking. I mean, initially I thought that Stygian was bad. Before I understood how the game worked, I was like, oh, well, spells just seem really weak, right? They're not. They're really good. Trust me. Okay, I have no healing and no, like, sustain for Shardtail Queen. So I'm gonna do this. But I should mention that without a Welder Helper in our start, we are very weak in this first combat. So much so that I probably should have skipped the trial, realistically. But it is okay. There's 5 here. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna try and elevator 2 Train Stewards up here with the hidden passages. Ideally. And we're gonna try to make that work. My Train Steward isn't going to die, which is a problem. Although maybe it's best to just take the damage then. I'm hidden passaging them up anyway. Doesn't really matter as long as these clergymen are dead. That's the wrong card. But as long as these clergymen die off, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. If he's at 1 health or 10 health, it doesn't make a huge difference. I guess 10 health is more, but if he's at 1 health or 5 health, it doesn't make a huge difference. And this is fine. This is mostly because I took the trial and taking this damage, so you look at it. This trial was ultimately not worth it, because it forced us to set up on top 4 to try and minimize the damage taken, and we ended up missing the collector, although we might have missed that collector anyway. I'm not certain. So because we have Imperialist, I'm just going to call it Imp Sacrifice from here on, we don't need Hornbreak. Molting Imp is also not super important, so I'm good with a Pyre Chomper here. If we take Pyre Chomper, we have the option to high roll if we see Consumer of Crowns. Molting Imp is fine too, though, because Molting Imp deals the 5 damage when we play him versus at the end of the round, or at the start of the Arkside's combat round after the enemies have gone. It clears backline where otherwise it would live. Okay, yeah. Probably just click on Crystallis here. Yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't click on Crystallis here. It's just a really good card. No consumer shenanigans at the gate. I want to take a second here because we had a run recently. This is not a run, but we had a run recently where it was better to start with the magic shop. This, of course, is not, but multi-strike plus 10 incant armor too. If you want to give me Siren of the Sea so we can just win the game here. Tragic. There's a multi-strike and these are our units. That hurts. That hurts. I have to pick one of these, but like, which one? I guess I take the shark and we're just gonna build a secondary incant plan, which won't be too bad. Maybe it is just Siliphyte though. So I was thinking about Imp Parade there. I zoned out for a second and I was like, what about Imp Parade though? Like I took a moment, I was like, why am I thinking about Imp Parade right now still? That was like 5 minutes ago, dude, get over it. Shut up. Sorry. So Siliphyte is okay. I think I'm not super happy with this banner either way. Siliphyte just makes better use of the multi-strike, but there's incant armor too as well. I'm gonna grab the shark. The way that there's multiple ways that we can plan to play this out here with this queen. We can either try to make her hard carry by beefing her up with a bunch of imps, but if we don't get that, then we can have a very simple plan of throw her some imps to help her survive and let her clear backline, and then scale another floor in the background. And she'll take a big chunk out of the upcoming enemies. I'm not going to buy anything else here, by the way, as you can see by the fact that I clicked on. But she'll take a big chunk out of heavies, basically, if I go all the way on her imp sacrifice path, which I will. This is super awkward. It's not necessarily bad, it's just awkward. To do it like this. I need to stack his armor, and I need to move like 2 train stewards in behind him here. That's all. But basically, if you're playing 2 or 3 implings with her per turn, which you can very easily do with Endless, you get a damage output of like 80 to 120 per round at the highest level, which you don't need me to tell you is quite a bit. The imp should have gone behind so that he could have been sacrificed. I guess I can do it like this and then the haste dies though. Doesn't seem like it's gonna matter a whole lot here. But we may as well do it this way. We have the pyre health to play with at the very least. Oh, this is a worse combat because these train stewards are gonna kill themselves. Look at that, they died. Interesting. Alright. Still fine. Imp in a box is good. That's good, yeah. Ice Tornado's weird now. That was another Crystallis. I don't love the second Crystallis here. I think that one is enough. We have plenty of answers. I'm gonna skip this. This is Rage Talus, which is gonna be a little rough. We didn't get Welder Helper, so the run's also a lot harder, I gotta mention. No Welder Helper is going to lead us down some interesting pathways here. Yeah, I'm gonna skip this. It feels strange to do so, but I'm gonna do it. I think I've taken a lot of cards in the past, and I'm not gonna do it this time. Multi-strike again, huh? Oh! I have to play him. Like, I can't not take him here. This isn't me being like, well, I have to do it or else people are gonna be mad. This is me being like, I'm pretty sure if I don't take consumer here, I'm just gonna lose. So, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Makes me sad I didn't take the Pyre Chomper, but alas. I want to roll this, but I can't afford Endless. Well, so basically, here's what the long term is going to be. It doesn't necessarily have to pan out, but the plan is going to be pretty simple. I'm going to send you a high cost spell, by the way. I'm gonna send him Crypt Builder because it's a high cost spell that I do not think we need to survive Talos. But our plan here is pretty straightforward, right? If we don't draw an imp on turn 1 or turn 2, like it's very variable, but I'm gonna just scale Shark and let Queen plus the spells handle the heavies, and then, assuming I miss Consumer. We're just gonna play assuming that we're missing Consumer. Is this? This is the symbol of Plating Sealed Daedalus, right? Am I out of my mind? This is Talos. What? Arcus' symbol matches. What is this? This is Plating Sealed Daedalus' symbol. Without a doubt. But it's showing me Talos. Huh. Weird. Okay, I don't want to do it here. I don't want to roll with not enough money. Who are you? You are Talos. That's just very strange. But basically our biggest concern now is going to be the survivability of our Sharktail Queen. Yeah, this is the bad case, but it's not that bad, mind you. Queen has to go mid-floor, and we just have to pick away at Clergy wherever we can. And this is gonna be weird because I played Queen on the middle floor here. Oh yeah, I've put ourselves in a very awkward position now. But I couldn't play her on the bottom floor because she would just die. So realistically, we're in a really tough spot here because the units they showed me were bad. The only unit I had with an attack higher than 10 is Consumer. But the problem is just going to be that I have nowhere to play Consumer. And also I'm about to run myself out of imps. So we're just like generally in a really awkward spot. Also our Shark just ate it. So this is going to be really rough. I would not be surprised, I should say. I will not be surprised if we die in this room. I think it's very, very reasonable to see that happen. And maybe I need to kill my Queen. I wonder. I need to be scaling up here as well. Like, I need to be throwing some stuff at him, but, you know, brutal. Okay. So, here we are. Time to make some choices. I play these imps now, like this, right here. These imps will live through this round, so if we draw Consumer on the next round, we play him for sure. 2, 4. I'm gonna have this Train Steward give 25 armor here because it's all about playing Consumer here. And I'm leaving the imp box in because the imp box will let me play Consumer if I draw it on the turn with Consumer. And if we just miss Consumer for on the next round, we're gonna die. And that's it. 2 imps lets me play him, right? He's at 8. He'll be at 8 minus 3 minus 3, so he'll be at 2. Yeah, okay. So we're dead unless my next turn's draw has Consumer and imp in a box in it. Now that's not very likely. However, on the whole, this has been a very bad draw, so I am not too pressed. The obvious other problem is I can't play imps up here, right? I can't bank up imps up here. There's maybe a good play here, which is going to be... Now we're going to get into the real nitty-gritty of, like, min-maxing as much as possible. And I'm going to make a play that looks like this. But does it matter? It doesn't matter, right? Huh. So it doesn't matter, right? The thing is, if I don't draw Consumer with 2 imps on the field, so it's super strange, right? Because there's plays we can make, but most of them don't matter here, is the thing, right? Because like one of the options that we could do is we could move the imp up and then play another imp, but then Queen is just going to sack them, so it doesn't matter. But the next line that we could follow is we could move the Protector up, killing the Queen first, but leaving the imp intact, but then we only have 1 imp on the field, and because these two are gonna die. And that one imp on the field is not going to matter because we have to have two for consumer to be playable. So no matter how you slice this, you can look at this in a lot of ways, but ultimately it comes down to draw consumer, live, miss consumer, die. That's it. That's the whole run here. There's like, because there's no case, the other option is to like move queen off the floor, but that doesn't make any sense because then we're still have one imp on the floor. It doesn't matter. It's very simple. Draw consumer and imp in a box, live, miss it, and die. I'm so good at the game. God, I'm so good. That's gross. Man, oh man, I'm good. That's crazy. Wow. When you get right down to it, you can look at that and go, oh wow, that's so lucky. I can't believe you got this lucky. What the hell? Why am I never this lucky? But at the same time, the series of events that led to us missing consumer on turn 1 were very unfortunate as well. So I'm not gonna be like, oh wow, like that was very fortunate, but it was also unfortunate that we were forced in the position of this sort anyway, right? Ultimately, it's very unfortunate that I'm in a position where my only playable unit to kill a boss is multi-strike consumer. Maybe I could have played a multi-striking Icy Scylla fight, but then it's a similar issue of, oh, well, if I miss a spell on the next turn, we're dead. Ice Empire is just a great spell. As we have been learning in recent runs, it's a very good spell. However, consumer, like, adding spells to this deck is weird because we just want to sit here and like make consumer easier to play, and we make consumer easier to play by increasing the density in this run of imps. However, I'm gonna grab Ice Empire because I want to have the shark alive and well. You can grab the Siren and then she adds like a little more. Yeah, it's gonna be Siren here. This is without a doubt draw. Without a doubt, it's draw. Yeah. The only other option there is space, but it's draw. And we lived, and that's great news. We now have the basis of a run that we can shape into something winnable. It's one of the problems that we'll face against Daedalus and Talos for all time is just you draw 5 cards per turn and your deck is going to have 25 or so cards in it. So if you have to draw in a specific order, it's very likely that you just miss a card until the 5th turn if you get unlucky, and then you just lose and you go, I see. And it doesn't feel good. I feel like there's definitely things that they're able to do, and from what I've looked at, it looks like they are changing the way the early game works because the decision-making process in the early game feels meaningless to me. I'm gonna permafrost Imp in a box. Am I? I don't know. Let me take a look at the map here. Another magic shop. The next shop I care about isn't until here. Sure. It just guarantees us being able to play consumer if we miss him the first time, which is good. And I'll make Crystallis cost 1, and I'll take a +10 on Ice Empire. That seems fine. Probably not going to waste the money on holdover for Ice Empire. We don't matter, or it doesn't matter that much. And this is not a run where we're going to be playing a lot of imps for queen. This is a run where we play consumer and we let him go wild. Party boys. Spell shield is probably... It's tough to say. This is a really hard trial to say if it will be bad or not. I'll pass it. It's just like, sometimes I am able to play consumer turn 1 and we just win. This is not one of those times. Even if I took energy, it would not be enough. I would have to take double energy. Oh no, this wasn't really scary because we have the queen's implings. Rather, we have the queen, who just wipes floors. Right, but this is going... We're now going to mostly just transition into an incant build with also Shardtail Queen. Is where we're heading here. I just need more... I need to grab more 1-cost spells now to play through. That's all. Because, like, my turn shouldn't be spent like that. Like, look at that, though. This is a perfect combat to show off why I think that Shardtail Queen is so good in this path. A floor here that I would otherwise think is reasonably difficult to deal with is just put away by her in 1 turn. If I don't draw Consumer on this turn, I don't play him also. Very interesting. I'm going to ascend this Train Steward so I have the space to play Consumer on the mid floor. It probably doesn't matter, but it might matter, so we may as well think about it. Okay, yeah, I'll do it like this. I may as well play the Welder Helper. Doesn't make a huge difference. He's just gonna baseball swing these idiots into the next year. Fine. Probably could have gotten away with a trial if I had remembered that the Shardtail Queen works that way. Especially, like, she really farms that combat, but better safe than sorry. Pyre Chomper is really good, and the second... These are both really good choices. Basically, taking either of these cards lets us play Consumer when we see them with Consumer. I think that I like Imp in a Box a little more because this lets us play Consumer for like all of the turns after we saw it. Whereas Pyre Chomper we have to draw the same turn, yeah. One thing worth noting here, by the way, very worth mentioning. I'm going to grab Ice Storm because we need some more one-cost spells. But very worth mentioning, we don't really win the game right now. Like, the play Consumer plan is good, but Seraph is going to steamroll us. We're making baby steps, though. We take one crisis at a time. I probably should just make my plan incant the Shark up a bunch and then toss the Siren to the side, most likely. It's probably going to be where we're going with it. And that'll be a winning line. Yeah. I'm going to go left for -1s, because I see myself taking space here a lot of the time. Let's keep this deck a little bit thinner. Holdover is interesting. Holdover is good because it lets us have a spell to play every turn for the incant on the Shark. Like, holding over a spell here is the same as adding... Alright, did I mention it's late? It's the surprise, it's late, it's 4:30 a.m. What, me at 4:30? No way. But putting a holdover on like Ice Empire here is the same as adding the effect of Fortify every turn, more or less, where my Shark's going to gain 5 armor. But is it worth 105 gold to me? Not particularly. I really don't think it is. I'm going to bring Crystallis to 0 cost. Make Ice Storm a playable card as well. And I'll remove 2 here. I'm going to start taking out Frozen Lances. Imps are tough though. Because, like, they don't incant, and Frozen Lances do, but I need the Imps to get me through. This is a deck that's kind of at odds with itself. I'll remove 1. I'll just remove 1. But this deck is very much at odds with itself. It's not really sure what it's doing. I have an Imp strategy, and I also have an Incant strategy. How have I not been able to play him yet? It's kind of unbelievable. It is kind of unbelievable that I'm going to miss this guy a second time here. It's okay because we have a precaution in place now for this. It's just kind of wild. The other problem is that it's hard to incant. I'm going to actually put Siren of the Sea to the side. It was kind of a mistake to grab her. Double Molting Imp. But the incanting that I want to do happens on the wrong floor. Like, I want to incant on the bottom floor where the enemies are entering, because that's where combat is happening. And I need to incant on a different floor, and that's weird. I don't like that. You're going to be a problem, but the bright side is he doesn't hurt us a ton. I don't care if I give him this rage, it's going to save me health in the long run. But I don't really have a great answer to this guy. Oh, now I do. Yeah, that's a pretty great answer too. If we could get that relic that lets us gain energy when we summon 2 units in a turn, that would also be really good here. If I draw another spell, he's dead. I did. Great news. What I want to do is I just need to play 3 spells here. And there's no way I miss Consumer. It's not possible for me to miss Consumer, so we should be in a good spot. Transcendent is just gonna do damage. And I guess 20 armor. Fine. I'll give you the 20 armor as well, Transcendent. You tried. It's Consumer for free. We're fine. Consumer gets 4 hits in and then dies on before his 5th one. So, he will do plenty. He will do about 800 damage. Well, he could do about 800 damage if he needed to, I should say. So how are we gonna beat Patient Seraph here? This is the elephant in the room. And I guess I'm just gonna keep clicking Imp in a box. It's been offered to me in my last 3 card rewards. That's not true. There wasn't one in the rare card draft, of course. Preserve is a really good card. It adds another thing to be drawn with Consumer that's really good. Heaven's Gift. You can keep it. I don't really want this this Crypt Builder. I need to look for another upgrade for Consumer, but I could also just look for an artifact. I'm gonna go to the left here. I feel like I should have gone for the artifact that I passed on, but it's too late for that. So Consumer can take Multi-Strike or Quick. He can't take Large Stone, but Incant Armor 2 would also be good. Quick is fine. And I like a plus 25 for the Shark to give him a better starting health. If there were an Endless here, I would Endless plus 25 and Imp, but there were not, so we shall not. It's a very unit upgrade heavy run, where we have a lot, like there's a lot we can use from unit upgrades. Really the only thing we can't use is Large Stone. Quick, Endless, and Multi-Strike are all very fine. Well, now Quick is not good, but we're beyond, that was me talking in the past tense. Oh my god, we play Consumer turn 1. The craziest part about this run, and the thing that you can really take away as like bonkers about this run, is the fact that even though I missed playing Consumer, my main damage source on the last 2 combats, it didn't matter because our Stygian spells are that strong. Like that's the real thing that you should look at in this run and go wow to. Like we were never in a bad spot. Because, like in terms of heavies in the last 2 combats, because Consumer did so much for us. And that's pretty great. I'm just gonna start stacking Shark's health because, so if you wanna take a look at it here real quick. 25 damage comes out of Arcus. You do 200 damage quickly. Did I say 2500? 25 damage out of Arcus. We have him at 1700, which means that we need to hit him effectively 9 rounds. But since we have Quick, we can take that down to 8 rounds because we won't die in the round. So effectively and it's 7 rounds because Consumer has, or 7 rounds, yeah. So how am I doing this? I need my Shark to tank 6 rounds, right? Consumer can tank for 2 of the rounds, basically. He'll get 400 damage on his own in a 1v1 against Arcus. So, and I'm getting a little focused on something that ultimately isn't going to make a huge difference. But basically we just need to focus on incanting the Shark to kill Arcus. I don't need to sit here and give you my dissertation on why. You can figure it out for yourself. Or rather, I don't need to sit here and give you the rundown of how the math works out. Is more what I should say, as I think about giving you the rundown for how the math works out on this. One of those things that we could calculate, but we don't need to. It's hard for me to conceptualize rounds in this game, I find. I don't know why. But I really have trouble with it. Like, how many turns does it take to kill Arcus right now with our top 4? Like, 8? It's 8, right? Because it's 200 per round, quick. I'm just, like, throwing off the 5 damage that the Shark does, by the way. I don't care. It's one of the things that I should be able to understand a lot better, but I can't unless I do it out by hand and speak it out loud. It's like, it's basically 7 rounds. The math gets kind of weird and wonky because your units go second. So it's not always the number that you would expect it to be. Or at least it's not always the number that I would expect it to be. Look at this. The Shark's 5 damage actually mattered here. Well, it would have mattered except for the part where we're just going to kill them instead. This is a run that's going to have a lot of trouble because 100 times 2 is good now, but it stops being good pretty soon. And we're going to face this issue in full in the next room, unless it's, if it's Purifier combat, we're in a weird spot. For the most part though, I think we're in an okay position. I should use this. We get 13 damage off of that. It's actually worth more to just sack him though, which is kind of funny. We're fine. You're gonna tank 4, 5, 6. You're gonna tank the 7. It is a little close, but it does ultimately work out. Sneaking in those free rounds did end up being pretty important though. Yeah, you can see it's 150, so it's 7 rounds. Yeah. Is that right? 4, 5, it's 6 rounds? 6 rounds. Yeah, it's 6 rounds. And then we make it a little easier here with these. Or not. Never mind. So, Seraph is going to present a lot of issues. The biggest issue that we have for Seraph is the fact that our queen is not going to live very long against this Seraph. That is the big overarching issue. I was thinking I was going to take space. I'm going to take energy. I guess we go right? I don't know. Event doesn't seem too good, but removal doesn't seem that good either because I don't know what to remove. Probably remove like the Crypt Builder and then, I don't know, Impressive maybe? Probably just a Frozen Lance though. The problem is Impressive is conditional and Frozen Lance is not, so I think Impressive might be a better remove since our plan is to incant. We're gonna go here. Maybe I should go left. What would I duplicate though? I could duplicate Consumer, which would be an interesting choice. Oh, one of the things that I should remove is Siren of this year. Our next removal is Crypt Builder that's not healing and also Siren. But how is it to duplicate this Consumer? With Hidden Passage, it gets really good, I think. So I'm gonna go for this. We shouldn't have trouble playing another one. Oh, hey, it's the Stygian Tome, so that Seraph the Patient is a little less scary. That's good. Our biggest problem is going to be that we can't incant a ton because this deck is bloated with a bunch of imps that slow us down, and I think that it would not be crazy to lose to Seraph, but we will see. Armor 20 is interesting. I think it's fine. I've been skipping this trial a lot lately, so I want to just click it and see if I die. It should be fine because our queen should punch right through these imps without much, or right through these guys without much problem. She does have 80 health, which I forgot about. I'm gonna body with the Siren here. And I'm actually gonna freeze an imp cryogenically. This way I have it for Consumer. I could have played it as well, I suppose, but yeah, okay, so this is a turn that we can look at and go, oh yeah, we're in not so bad of a spot after all, huh? Maybe it isn't all terrible here today. Maybe it isn't. We're gonna just play Imp, Imp. I'm gonna play this Imp in front so that it tanks the 5 damage. And then I'll play Flood Minion. The big problem you can ascertain from this is that I don't have Shark. Also, if I Crypt Builder here, save this health. I missed the Collector though. Like, missing Shark for 2 turns maybe will lead to an issue. I'm not sure though. I wonder if that will lead to an issue. I'm gonna tank hits here. Oh, they have armor. You silly, silly me. They have armor. Okay, that's good. There's a few things we can also pick up that would make me feel like we're gonna win 100%. One of those is the Rail Hammer. If we see that, we're in a great spot. That will add a lot of... it's basically just free if we see a Rail Hammer. And you to the back? It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna focus on incanting, actually. I don't know if it matters, because I don't remember what boss it is. If it is the Silence boss, then I should have just kept the Silence, but I don't think it matters who it is, really. Pretty sure it doesn't matter. And I think it is, yeah, it is the silence boss. I need to catch his multi-strike and that's it. I can do this. We're fine. Seraph, the Patient Seraph fight is a fight in this case where we're either going to get our setup and be fine, or we're going to be crushed. And there's very little in between. There's not no in between, but it's going to be very much just setup or get crushed is what we're looking at here. It's going to be tough, I think. The upside, as we learned in the last episode, is that the Seraph only has like one double heavy wave. I'm not going to click on branding right. I don't think we need it. I think it bogs us down a little bit even. Maybe I'll be wrong and regret that. Second unnamed tome is good. Because taking off the edge from Seraph is good. Could go to the left and take the... I need the removals. I'm gonna go to the left. I can also get like... Oh no, I can get imps with bigger stat lines and that'll be nice. Can throw some health at imps. We're really just looking for Railhammer though. Ashes is good, but it's not that good here. I mean, it's still good. Like, it's worth buying. It's just not crazy. A +3 shouldn't add anything here. I don't think it should add anything. So I'll just roll. Oh, okay, we won. Yeah, okay. I would say that that's a bit of a power up there. Give Molting up a +5, +10. He's earned it. I think I feel fine removing a few Queen's Implings now. We have 3 Infinite boxes, so I don't think it's that bad to remove 2 Queen's Implings. Okay, yeah, so like that trinket shop was nuts. It's cause and effect, right? We got that trinket shop by taking the risk on the armor, which ended up not being a big risk, but at the same time, that was a high roll. No doubt about it. This is a rough one. I'll incant Seraph once here. I am going to be put into the situation of like Queen is dying very soon, but you know. Got our tome. We got our imps. I wonder if... Nah, it can't be. I was gonna say, I wonder if it's ever right to put consumer, or put an imp up top to block for consumer, but I don't think it is. Him taking this melee weakness is inconsequential because the shark is just going to stand in front. And from this position, we have won. Like from here, he gets 7 or 13 armor per spell cast. Wow, even more than I thought. And he is just going to become very large. I can't body for her. The only thing that's going to be awkward is I won't be able to play, like I won't be able to ascend my second man that easily, but I don't even think that that's that difficult to pull off. Oh wow. It's gonna bring back 2 frozen tomes, and that's okay. Yeah. How did I know that? I've played this game long enough to know what they're gonna do to me there. I can send this guy up. It's good to do so whenever the opportunity arises. I'll do this too. This is the only double heavy wave they show us. Should probably not let that melee weakness stack up, actually. I also should not play Preserve right now. We're gonna win. We're gonna win. But I should hold Preserve so that I can freeze a Ascend, so that I can play and Ascend that guy. My other consumer. This is a really strange run because I tried to approach this run from the perspective of like, okay, I'm gonna try and teach something. Oh, I can't play this consumer. I ran myself out of imps without thinking. Oh well. That's a misplay, but also it won't matter. But I tried to come at this from the perspective of like, I'm going to teach you guys about playing this clan combo because that's what I was asked to do. And then they gave me this run where I lived and died on a bunch of different weird high rolls that happened to go my way. And that ends up feeling kind of strange, I think. Right, like this isn't the normal run that I would expect to have with Hellhorned, but it demonstrates, like, I guess what it is that Exile Hellhorned is a combo that you can do a lot of different strategies with. I think that this is close. I think that this is a close fight, and there's no reason for me to take 30 damage to my shark here. I have full pyre health, and I think that this is closer than it looks. I'm not worried about this. I could have not taken this damage at all, but I was just kind of mindlessly playing cards there. But similarly, let's try that again. But you can do it like that. You see that? Yeah. But, like, what are the takeaways you can take from this run? Because we high rolled. Do not get me wrong. We high rolled. And look at this. It is actually close. How about it? I was right. It is close. It's probably because the consumer dies in one hit, too, because I said this was inconsequential. We're going to be fine. But I am glad that I didn't take that 30 damage here, because it would have actually made a difference. It wouldn't have made a difference. Never mind. We would have won anyway. But, you know. What do you take away from this run? Because this is not the normal run that I would expect out of this game. Because we got Consumer. First of all, you don't need to be afraid of taking Consumer with Shardtail Queen. It's pretty easy to play him because of the imps. Even though we rolled in the 3 imp in the boxes, like you pick up 5-ish imps and you can, or probably 3 more imps off of your base 5. 3 to 5 more imps off of your starters, and you can usually get your Consumer out. But you can play Consumer in the way that I played him in this run, which is something that I did not think of in the early days of playing this game, where you play him and then let the rest of your deck handle the enemies through the mid game, and then in the mid, like once you get to a point where you stabilize and you hit enough imps every turn, or like, then you can play him, right? You let him be I'll plan around playing this guy in like 4 turns, which is fine because the payoff is good. Planning or build around, okay, I play Consumer and then he kills the boss is fine. It's only not fine into Seraph, and into Seraph we just high rolled. There were other ways, by the way, like if it were not Railhammer Ashes sort of situation, I would have thought a lot more about getting the second Consumer out, so we would have won. But, you know, we win anyway, so it doesn't matter a ton. But the takeaway from this run really is just, I think the best thing that you can take from this run is that this Shardtail Queen can just be an everything plan for you, as long as you have the imp supply. And you might be thinking, oh, well, how do you keep the imp supply? And the answer to that question is you look a lot harder for Endless than I did. You go to all your steel shops and you get 1 or 2 Endless of an imp that you care about. Like the best one is obviously Welder Helper. You get 1 Endless Welder Helper, you dupe him twice or dupe him 3 times, and that's how you end up on the Thunderdome runs, where you're giving Shardtail Queen 60 armor and she's doing 120 damage per round, which is really good. But yeah. Shardtail Queen and Exile Hellhorned as a whole is very unwieldy. To outline a few other run types you can do with this, you can play all through Royalty as your plan, and you just have to give Shardtail Queen a multi-strike and she kills everything. The biggest problem with that will be the second heavy is going to cause you a lot of trouble, is what I find, so you need to have a good answer somewhere in there for that. And other than that, I don't know. Just mostly play Endless Imps. Consumer is fine. You can use Shardtail Queen as a tank and then just have 1 imp between her and then the back unit be whatever DPS you have that's 2 space. Lots of different ways to play it. Lots of different ways to play it. Ultimately, though, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave me a like. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.